Are these bourbons magical? Let's find out. What is going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, bringing you guys a brand new video. Today, we're going to be doing a review of the Dark Arts Distillery. Now, we've got 4 samples sent to us from the alchemist himself. Down in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on the Dark Arts. Do you think that they are worth the price? Because they are a little bit pricey. We only have 4 samples here, but they were sent to us in this beautiful aged in ore set. If you saw the bourbon haul, you guys saw that we got this from Dark Arts, and I think that that is possibly the coolest thing that I've gotten from a distillery, with the entire set and in this beautiful case. Absolutely beautiful. Make sure you guys drop that like down below. Like I said, leave that comment, smash that subscribe button. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers, and check out the link down to the Patreon below. We are doing our first barrel pick. It is coming up very, very soon. For as little as $2 a month, you get into the Patreon. You get first access to that barrel pick, and we are also doing a bourbon bottle raffle for anybody who purchases that barrel pick. So you guys want to get on this, make sure you check out that Patreon. Like I said, for as little as $2 extra, you get in for that barrel pick, and we are also doing those bottle raffles if you do end up purchasing one of those bottles from my barrel pick. So make sure you guys check that out. But without further ado, let's get into the Dark Arts. So starting all the way to our left here, we have the barely legal bourbon. Now, what does bourbon have to be? 51% corn, exactly. So that is what this is. It's 51% corn, 39% rye, and then 10% malted rye. So there's no barley in this bad boy whatsoever. This is going to be an interesting one. These have been breathing for quite a while now, so I'm very excited to get into this one and see what this is all about. So let's get into the nose. Wow, I'm getting a little bit of like a s'moresy note off of here. With that graham cracker, there's a little bit of a marshmallow note, a lighter chocolate, so some soft fruits off of this. And because this is predominantly almost predominantly rye, I'm getting a lot of rye spice off of this, but it's a very nice rye. It's not minty, it's not herbal. There's a lot of bourbony qualities off of this that I really do enjoy. Let's get into the palate. So off of this initial palate, you are getting a lot of rye spice. You're getting cinnamon punch forward. You are gonna get a little bit of a chocolatey note. A little bit of that graham cracker falls from that nose into the palate. It's very, very pleasant. It's not overly rye. I like that there's a mixture of that malted rye and rye in there, because that maltiness brings a little bit more of a softness to this, and it rounds that off, and I'm getting that really nice, like almost like a malted chocolate ball, like the Whoppers in a way. Really, really pleasant. I'm getting a little bit more of a dark fruit, like a dried fruit off of this now on that second sip that lingers into the palate. A little bit of an apricot note. It's really, really nice. There's a butteriness that really follows through on this, and that finish is very, very pleasant. So this is a very, very nice whiskey. I really enjoy this barely bourbon. But let's get into our second one here, and this is the straight bourbon whiskey finished with toasted Jupilis Fleur French Oak staves. So the toasted Jupilis Fleur French Oak bourbon is 108 proof. It's a small batch. It's 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley. So this is a very interesting one. You know, I do like my French oak. I think that it adds a very nice palate experience. So I'm excited to get into this one. Richer and darker. From that French oak, I'm getting a little bit more of a complexity off of the nose compared to the first one. Some spice off of this, and red, juicy, fruity, just ripe apples. And that pie crust is there too. This is wonderful off of the nose. This is beautiful. Let's get into the palate. That, in my personal opinion, if you have had the Penelope Architect, you're getting that same experience, because this is very close, going from 104 proof to 108 proof. It is so similar. Wow, that is unbelievable how similar that palate is. And I know it's French oak staves, right? They add a big, abundant, bold flavor to whiskey. But that is so pleasant. It's got a little bit of spice. It's got a little bit of an espresso note. It's got really dark fruits in there. It's really bold. It's really complex. There's a lot going off on this, and I really enjoy this palate. And it falls into that finish too. The finish does not have any bitterness. Nothing that is off-putting on this whatsoever. I really fully enjoy this one. I think that this one might be a little bit better than the first one, but the first one's good. Don't get me wrong, but this is right up my alley. But we've got two more to get into, and our next one is the rye. And this is going to be the straight rye whiskey finished with toasted Amberana oak staves. Let's get into it. So this toasted Amberana rye is 108 proof. It's 95 rye and 5% malted barley. I'm very interested to get in this because this is just the Amberana staves. It's not finished in a complete Amberana barrel. So, and also it's toasted, so we can possibly get some more nuances out of that Amberana. I haven't even nosed it yet. I'm hoping that rye kind of balances out that Amberana, and you know, maybe because you get a lot of rye spice with cinnamon and everything, maybe this is going to be overdone, but let's find out right now. So you get your typical Amberana notes, right? You're gonna get that snickerdoodle cookie, a little bit of a honey note coming through, lots of bold cinnamon, but the rye that's in this, I'm getting a little bit of a mintiness that kind of rounds everything off. There's no sharp edges from that Amberana. It's really nice on that nose. I'm getting a little bit of a bubblegum note too. And the one note that's really interesting off of this is I'm getting almost a lemon icing. Lemon icing, the little bit of that mintiness that rounds off and subdues those harsh edges from what Amberana can do with that bright, strong cinnamon note. It kind of just like brings it into this little ball and just makes it so nice. Let's get into the palate and see if it's just as nice on there. Lots of spice. Lots and lots of spice. Wow, that's a spicy boy. That's not my cup of tea. That's not my cup of tea, but it could be a lot of other people's. I'm getting this almost like birch berry, root beer, almost flavor profile off of this that I'm not the biggest fan of. But if you like a root beer or a birch beer kind of note, this is going to be that note for you. Lots of cinnamon, lots of cinnamon. I get more cinnamon off of this than I do a lot of other Amberana style whiskeys. I get the rye. The rye falls very, very hard on this. I get a lot of rye bread qualities off of this that roll into that finish, very, very long and straightforward. But it's like a breakfast toasted rye with apple butter and sprinkled with cinnamon. So your initial palate, you're getting that cinnamon and you're getting that rye, and then it falls into that little bit of that apple butteriness. And I like that on paper. I like that flavor profile on paper, but coming through on here, I think it's a little too bold and a little bit too upfront with that cinnamon punch that I'm not really falling in love with this pour as I was with pour 1 and 2. So this is probably my least favorite out of the 3 so far, but don't get me wrong, it's still a good pour. But would I personally recommend it? Probably not. I would recommend 1 or 2 first. But we've got one more to get into, and that is going to be this one right here. Let's find out what it is. It is a 7-year bourbon finished in Armagnac and Pinot Noir casks, coming in at 114.9 proof. Let's get into the nose. A lot softer on the nose compared to that third one, which was even a little bit lower. It was 108 proof. We got a couple more proof points off of this, and it's a lot lower. It's a lot softer. Grapey qualities coming out of this glass. I like the glass a lot. It's soft. It's grapey. It's fruity. You're gonna get that grapiness out of this because it's finished with Armagnac and Pinot Noir. So you're gonna get a lot of that dried, raisiny notes coming off of it as well. Blackberries, it's really, really nice. It's really dark, it's really rich. Let's get into the palate. Wow, that's pleasant. It's brighter than I was expecting it to be. It's very, very soft. There's light edges on this. It doesn't burn any part of your tongue. It doesn't burn any part of your mouth or when it goes down. It's very, very easy to approach at this proof. And I think that those other casks are what helped round off these edges, which makes it so, so pleasant. I thought the initial palate, it was going to be a little bit more of that like bolder, grapey, raisiny, dried fruits, but it's brighter. Don't get me wrong. I'm getting a lot of winey qualities off of this. This has a lot of oak tannins that come through. It's got that port wine finish that, you know, lingers. And I think that this would be really freaking good with a piece of chocolate. This could be killer if I had a piece of dark chocolate that I could bite and then go into this. This would probably be really freaking good. It dries your tongue out a little bit more than the other three because of those tannins, but they're very nice tannins. They're not bad whatsoever. Wow, the finish of this just lingers. It brings in that darker style wine quality that is really, really pleasant. This is a dessert bourbon for sure, and I think it's a nicer dessert bourbon than a amberana finish. I do like that a lot. I'm going to give you guys my ranking of what I think is best to worst out of these four right now. So in first place, we had the straight bourbon whiskey finished with toasted Jubilee Fleur French oak staves coming in at 108 proof. That's going to be this red label one. Second, we had the Dark Arts 7-year bourbon finished in Armagnac and Pinot Noir coming in at 114.9 proof. Beautiful, beautiful, nice desserty style bourbon that was absolutely lovely. Third, we had the Barely Legal bourbon. This was cask strength. This one was 115 proof. It was, again, 51% corn, 39% rye, and 10% malted rye. And then our fourth sample that we had was the straight rye whiskey finished with toasted amberana staves coming in at 108 proof. This was not bad whatsoever, but it's just not one that fit my personal favorite flavor profile. So it unfortunately ended up in last place. But this one right here, the straight bourbon whiskey finished with toasted Jubilee Fleur French. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm botching the name of that, but who cares? Not me. I love drinking whiskey. Thank you so much, Dark Arts and the Alchemist himself, for sending this my way. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Make sure you guys check out that Patreon link down below. Check it out. We're doing our first barrel pick, like I said. But until next time, it's been Nathan with the Everyday Drinker. Cheers.